time to take. I'm a very chill person, so yeah, there's not so much.
Okay. For people that don't know who you are, like where you work, why you are on this edition in the first place, why are you here?
Oh, okay. So in the day I do 9 to 5. I currently lead. I'm an HR professional. I currently lead people operations at Carrywise. Carrywise is a fintech organization that is committed to democratizing access to finance for the young generation of Nigerians and Africans. Before that, I've been around in the fintech, industry for a while. Before that, I've worked, across education, tech, volunteered in a couple of places. I finished from the University of Ibadan. My first degree, my second degree was at the University of Lagos. Um, what else? Yeah, I do HR. I like HR, and I am not a wicked HR.
That's a very important disclaimer.
Yeah, I think people label us. The label is bad, but yeah, I'm not one of them.
All right.
I hope by the end of this call, I would have been able to convince you.
Okay. I'll hold you. I'll hold you to that. Thank you. Thank you so much. Is okay. Before I go on, I've known Victor for, I don't know, for almost all my life.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to say that you are doing amazing. I'm very proud of you. I'm always very excited to farm you
Aw,
into your name, like the
thank you. Thank
opportunity.
you very much.
And yeah, I look forward to having this conversation with you. So our second guest, Olainka, please, you have the floor. Introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, good morning.
Hello,
Hi,
hello, hello. Good
okay,
morning.
yeah. I needed a confirmation that I can be heard and seen, but your response is really evidence that I can hear
Mhm.
me and see. So yeah, good morning to everybody. I am Olayinka Shado by name, Shado without the W. And
Sorry to cut you short. Fun fact, when I heard your name, I was very confused. I was like, is that a nickname or is that your actual name? I had to ask Bolu that is his nickname because I know he mentions it like Shadow every now and then. I was like, is that his actual name? But yeah.
yeah, I get that a lot. But yeah, it's an actual name, it's my name. A cool name I would say. But
Yes.
yeah, yeah, so I'm Olayinka Shado, and I recently just completed the Bar Part 2 program at the Nigerian Law School. I was at Yenogwa campus, and I completed my undergrad from Obafemi Awolowo University, where I graduated with the first class as an undergrad. I dabbled into like a couple of stuff, internships, competitions, and whatnot. And at the same time, I was an event host, compare. I also wrote CVs, reviewed CVs, cover letters, and so a mix of like a lot of stuff. I'm here because I've been able to gather some experience and experiential knowledge in terms of applications, CV writings, cover letters, and I'm looking forward to share, tidbits of what I've learned this past few years. Yeah. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Thank you. Thanks so much. You are terrorizing some of us.
Yeah, that was never the intention.
Nice to have you here. Very excited to have you and listen to all you have to share with us. And just to do a little bit of introduction again for myself in case like you are just seeing me for the first time. My name is Thompson Olajire, and today, funny story, today makes it 3 years since I moved to the UK for my master's degree. And yeah, it's been such a journey. After I traveled after my NYSC, I came for my master's in intellectual property law. And in the space of 3 years, okay, while doing my master's during one of my summer holidays, because my course was for like 1.5 years, 15 months actually. Um, And so during one of my long summer breaks, I was able to land an internship at a privacy consulting firm without application. That's a story for another day. Yeah, but it was without application. And it almost felt very impossible because most times you hear people say, oh, people are always asking for UK experience, which is true, right? But I think there's a way to it. Like, there's a way around it. There's always a way. It might be difficult, but it's possible, right? And after that, after I finished my master's, by God's grace, I was also able to land a full-time role as a data protection and information governance officer at a university. That's not something that happens every day, right? I'm just trying to say that, like, why should you listen to me or why should you listen to all these people that are on the panel? It's because this is something that we have done over and over again. And we think that if we share our stories with you, it would help you, give you some insight. And so without further ado, let's get into it. So quickly, just quick icebreakers like I always like to do. Who should I start with? I'll start with Inka this time. Just quick questions, fast ones before we get into the main questions. Inka, do you watch movies? Like, do you watch movies?
Yes, once in a while, but I'm not the average movie watcher in terms of like intensity. But yeah, when I get the chance to, I do.
Okay, do you watch legal movies?
Legal movies. I will listen Suits, to be honest.
Okay, just Suits.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Okay,
I'm more of a sitcom guy, actually.
okay. No,
Yeah.
I don't know so much about sitcom, but it's fine. So in Suits, if you were to pick someone to like defend you, right? If you get into like trouble and you need to pick someone to defend you from Suits. Now, don't think about Avi, like Avi versus it's Avi versus Jessica, right? Who would it be?
Okay. Definitely,
Or Jessica Pearson?
I would definitely go for Avi. I mean, like Avi is that guy. Everybody knows it's that guy.
So what if it is Avi versus Mike? Now, not Mike when Mike started, but like Mike towards the like after you had learned so much.
So I could easily take a chance on my cross, of course, because it's my cross. But I feel like Avi was like the boss of them all. I mean, my cross was literally under Avi's tutelage. So if it's I could get sentenced to a jail term, I definitely would not want to risk it and go for my cross. My cross was still like prone to making mistakes from time to time, but Avi was always there to come, clean up the mess and make sure things are in order. So if it were like a criminal action, probably I would go for Avi, but it was something that I could take a chance. I definitely go for my cross. Knowing fully well that he's really good at what he's doing too. But yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. Yeah, I would go with Avi too. But I think for me, it also depends on the case, because if it were to be a financial case, I think I would go for Louis Lates, because Louis Lates is like very financial.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry to people that don't watch movies here, but and also most of our community members are law students, so that's why we're having this little bit legal movie discussion. But yeah, we'll move on from this now. Next question: would you have spoilers or no spoilers?
No spoilers for sure. No spoilers.
Okay, I mean I don't mind spoilers. Corporate or casual?
It depends on the occasion, but I'm more of a corporate person. I mean, because being a law student, I was doing corporate like for the most part of my life.
Yes,
law school, corporate. So I think I've kind of like just gotten in tune with corporate and stuff.
Same here. And if you did not study law in uni, what else would you have studied?
If I didn't study law, I don't know, maybe I probably would, I would have studied maybe like something in the media, maybe like arts or, theater arts. So something having to do with the media, because I think if I'm not doing that, then I'm probably going to, be doing something media related.
Okay, that's good to know. All right, then I'll move on from you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So it's your turn. Yes, we will just be this or that.
Why? Fun fact, I've seen Suits more than twice.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, let me
Eh,
ask you. So if you were going to if you were going to pick someone to defend you, or like
And I think I'll pick the dude from the Lincoln Lawyer.
okay. I've not watched Lincoln
Uh,
Lawyer.
oh yeah, you should.
Okay. All right.
Dude is smart. But yeah, Suits. I like seeing love movies, by the way. Yeah, I think I like that. I think when they had started off, I think I'd pick Jessica because I know if I pick Jessica, I'm getting the total package. If I need a financial person, she'll bring in Luis Leeds. If I need somebody who can get the grunt work done, she'll bring in Ave. If I need somebody who is very smart, she'll just bring in Mike. So I'll just pick the leader of the pack, and then I know I get the total package.
Fair enough. True. All right. I'm not mad at that response at all. Okay, so this will be this or that. Work from home or work from office?
I think both. Both.
No, you have to pick one.
I,
You
I,
can't
I
pick both.
the point that I'm in my life. I
What's
like
your
to
number?
not lose touch with people. Yeah, but oh, man,
You're
that's
quite
a
breaking
difficult
up. We
one.
can't hear you.
Oh, but I can hear you clearly. Can you hear me now?
Okay, yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, okay, cool. I don't know which one I'll pick. Oh. Work from home or from the office?
Yes.
Maybe from home.
Okay. Quiet
Yeah.
workspace or background buzz? Like, do you want to have a quiet workspace?
Quiet all the time. Is
Wow. So you don't like music in the background, lo-fi music?
uh, if I'm trying to do focused work, quiet does it. But
Okay.
if I'm low on ginger and I need some like something, yeah, the right music. Once you hit that right note, you just leave it on repeat and you just keep moving like a machine.
Okay. Emails or calls?
Why would you even compare both?
Because they are modes of communication. Victor, the idea is to say yes or like this or that.
It will be calls. It will be calls. Like if you had said text or calls, I would have picked text. But emails, that sounds so official. I mean, like I told you, I'm not the regular with HR. So
Alright. Um, Camera on or camera off during meetings?
camera on, please. Let's be seeing each other.
Wow, so I cannot be making a band, be joining a meeting.
You can then maybe turn off your camera on, but I want to see your face. It makes meeting more alive.
True. Um,
But I mean, who says you can't put on camera when you're turning it back? I mean, as far as you are responding to
eh,
me.
I want
Yes.
to work in I want to work in carry wise, please.
But I mean, it also depends on the kind of meeting, though. So yeah.
All right then. I have some other ones, but I'll just leave it. Let's just go straight into questions for today. So thank you for answering my icebreaker questions.
Thank you so
So
much for having me.
yeah, so my first question to you is: you studied chemistry, Victor, but you're doing HR. How how did that happen? Okay, because I'm asking you this because, like I said in the introduction, this is for people's like some people they're transitioning from law or from any background to another, and maybe they are facing a challenge of they don't have experience in their new field, right? That they want to their new industry that they're trying to get into. So my question is, you went from chemistry to HR, like to doing HR. So how did that happen? Was that a conscious decision? And also, did you face like the challenge of not having experience, industry experience, HR wise? And how were you able to navigate it?
Good question. Good question. Interestingly, because that's something I've actually been thinking about recently, and started writing some sort of article about. Right, but to not digress too much. To go back to your question, it was a conscious decision, right? 100% conscious. Originally, I actually wanted to study medicine, right?
Oh, yes, I
So
remember.
I'd applied to UI to study medicine. I had this, aced my jam, and then I think when the cutoff came out, I had passed the cutoff for the previous year, but they increased the cutoff in my set, so I didn't get in. And then it was a question of whether I should stay at home or and try again next year or go to school. So I decided to go to school. So that's how I ended up in chemistry, and then apply for medicine in a different school, such that if I'm able to cross in UI, fine. If not, I'll just do medicine in another school and leave UI. I mean, there was no crime to that. So in my first year, I was doing my first semester and second semester. I was also preparing for JAMB and also writing post UME for another school. It still didn't work out, the first time. I tried it again the second year. It still didn't work out. I'm like, man, I beg, I beg, I beg. And then by that time, I had also like matured a little bit more, right? I think wanting to study medicine for me was born out of, my dad worked in an hospital. Um, um, I was surrounded by, doctors and stuff, right? My church was directly opposite an hospital back then growing up. So it always fascinated me, wanting to become a doctor. So it was more of a, what do you want to be when you grow up? Oh, I want to be a doctor. And then it just stayed with you, right? So, but, you got into school, got mature, and then I realized that that wasn't entirely what I wanted for myself. So fast forward, I finished school. I think I didn't know I wanted to go into HR until I was in like final year going into service. So when I had settled on that was what I wanted, I then started taking steps towards that direction. Then COVID hit. So what did I do? So I saved up some money and got myself a laptop. And I think that looking back now, it was probably the singular best decision that I made. So when I got that laptop, I just locked in. So all through COVID, I was taking courses. All through COVID, I was reading, talking to people, connecting with people. And by the time COVID was done and we were coming out, I'd gained a lot of theoretical experience. And then came the challenge of I didn't have enough industry experience to so people were always telling me in interviews that, oh, you sound smart, you sound like you know what you're doing, but we need somebody with the experience. And I just kept hearing we need someone with the experience. Oh, but you studied chemistry. So what did I do? I took enough courses such that in my CV, the courses I had taken came up, and then the degree I had was like somewhere down.
No.
So that's not even the first thing. That's not even the first thing you're seeing. Just know that I went to school. That's enough for you, man. So I did that, right? And I think that got me into a couple more interviews. And another thing I did was to sort of structure what I had done in the past to sort of relate to some of the functional skills that were required in the HR field. So fast forward, I got my first job. And then the rest, they say, is history. Yeah, so that's how I got to HR.
Thank you so much. You said very, very profound things that I can also.
Oh yeah, sorry to interrupt. To now go back to my first point, I think that the world is past the age of where what you studied in school should be a barrier. And I mentioned I was writing an article because I looked at it. More than 60% of the people in career-wise who are in non-engineering roles did not study the course. Are not doing what they studied in school. Our risk manager at work studied animal production and something. Our CX manager studied human anatomy. Our finance manager studied chemical engineering. So there are a bunch of people like that totally in fields where it wasn't even what they studied, in school at all. And so yeah, I said that to say that it should absolutely not be a barrier. You can be anything you want to be. Yeah.
Thank you so much. If you've listened to me like in career events or talking about careers, you would know that one of the things that I say is, if you are trying to build experience in something, one of the things you need to lock in on is building your theoretical experience. This is the first thing you need to do, because you don't want to, yes, you don't have experience, but you want to show that you actually know what you are saying. And that's literally how I got my internship. That's how I got my full-time role. Show that you know what you are saying. Before my internship, when I was in Nigeria, I signed up for like a 8 weeks traineeship program. and it was basically the theory of something, and like the theory of data protection, GDPR, and everything. And I learned so much and became any article on GDPR, anything on data protection, I was always reading it. At a point, it got like it almost became information overload because I was always just wanting to like know about it so that if there is a conversation about it, I'm able to follow the conversation, I'm able to give feedback, even if I've not done any practical before that time. I had not done any, I didn't have any practical experience, but theoretical knowledge, all the articles of GDPR, I knew it at like the back of my hand, right? Because I wanted to show that I don't have the practical experience yet. However, I have the theoretical knowledge. So that's something, and that's something Victor has also said. So this is something you need to like take seriously. You need to lock in on, build theoretical experience of whatever it is that you want to do, so that if you're in places where the questions come up, you can follow up conversations. You can have conversations with people that are already in the industry. Also, he mentioned Taylor, like the fact that you don't have industry experience, but you have experience in something else. You should make the connection, like what are the skills that are relevant in this my new industry that I'm trying to go, that I've learned or that I've used in my previous background, in my previous experience, in my previous roles, and how can I tailor it to match the in-demand skills that's like in my new industry. We'll come back to that later and talk about like have a full conversation about that series. But yes, thank you very much for that was a very good response. Shado, would move to you now. When we put out applications, one of the questions that kept coming up was, how do I find these opportunities? Like, how do I find these opportunities? Which I have an opinion about that question in the first place, and I'll say it after. But for someone that has done like interned at some of the top law firms in Nigeria, how did you find these opportunities? Were they like advertised? Yeah, what was it like for you?
So for me, it was a variety, and which is usually what I say when people ask me about like, well, how do you get internships and whatnot. There is no one way to get an internship at a tier one law firm or at the top organization, because like there are many roads that lead to the promised land. I'm not sure if that's the correct expression, but yeah, just pardon me. But yeah, so for me, like I was saying, it's a mix of both. There were some that I directly applied using the firm or organization's application email. There were some that I got through associations or clubs that I was a member in during my undergrad. And there were also some that came as like consolation prizes for competitions and whatnot. So for me personally, it's a mix of both. But the advice that I would give, because I understand that like I'm speaking to persons who are probably graduated already, and they won't have the opportunity of getting internships or opportunities through clubs, like I mentioned, right? So the best thing is to, first of all, decide what it is you want, your area of interest. If you understand your area of interest, then you can tailor it down to particular organizations and firms that you would like to gain internship experience at. Then you create a list, you go around looking for their emails and whatnot, and you just send emails with your CV and if possible a cover letter, right? So that's one way to do it. Another out of school way that you can get an opportunity like that is through LinkedIn. Cold emails on LinkedIn. You know somebody that works at this place or that place, or you just need to be send them a connection request. And by sending a connection request, LinkedIn does this thing where you can have like a personalized note to the connection request. So that is also like very effective because it helps like your request to stand out from every other person's request. You would imagine that a person of like their status would be getting a lot of connection requests on LinkedIn. So you want to communicate your interest right off the bat, like from the onset. So you just put a short note that you are this or this. You would like to connect to speak about the prospect of getting an internship at so and so place, right? Once they accept the request, you already have an idea of what you want at that point. And it makes it easier for you to now send a cold email when they have accepted your connection request. So yeah, LinkedIn is very effective. Go. You don't even need to know somebody in particular. It's so easy that you can literally just search the company on LinkedIn and then you find people that work there. right? So you see the HR, you'd see a partner, you'd see a manager. Just spread your tentacles, send a connection request and code emails to as many people as possible, right? That's number two way. And number three way of creating an opportunity is also at networking events, at social events, networking events for professionals. I remember I was at a Toastmasters meeting in 2020, and I happened to stumble into a partner at the law firm, Strack and Partners. I think they are using a different name now, right? But it was at that event that I walked up to this particular person. I'm like, oh, I know you're a partner at this and this. I'd like to intern at your firm, so on. So, and then I got his number, and I was able to get the opportunity. I didn't eventually do the internship, right? But this is just to show that, like, oh, at places like this, you could definitely meet people where you would get opportunities. Yeah. So just to reiterate, sending direct applications to their application emails, speaking to people at networking events, and then using the opportunity or using the tool of LinkedIn. So that those are like the three surefire ways that I can say you can use to create. Now I'm using the word create now because some opportunities need to be created, right? So you create the opportunity for yourself if you can leverage on either of these tools. Or in fact, you could use everything at once. You don't put all your eggs in one basket. So yeah.
Thank you so much. I've written so many things down, and what you said was very profound. I think that number one, and no offense to anybody that asked this question, but if you said, where can I find these opportunities? I don't think you're ready for this journey, because I'm so sorry, this is 2025. And if you're asking, where can I find these opportunities? You know what? If you're asking for where can I find these opportunities, it's 2025. Literally, pick up your phone and put it in ChatGPT and say, internship opportunities in Nigeria, or whatever industry you're working in, right? And let it bring out the list. And then, so yeah, you've even found those opportunities in the first place. And then what he said, the next step is creating opportunities. So now I like to call it like a 2FA method. You don't take just one approach to it. Do multiple from different angles, from different sides, right? The ones that you would apply directly to, like, for these opportunities, that's one. But the other ways of creating opportunities, just like he said, are sometimes you don't wait for a firm or for a company to advertise their, like, oh, we have this opening. Sometimes you create it by yourself. And how do you create it? By what he said, reaching out to people, reach out to multiple people. The worst that they will say is no, right? Closed mouths don't get fed. I like to say this so, like, again and again. The worst that anybody will tell you is no. They will ignore your request. They will not respond to you, and that's absolutely fine. But you keep going, and then you don't just stop at one person. Or I sent a request to one person. I asked for an opportunity from one person. They didn't get back to me, and so I just give up and say, oh, it's fake. No, you keep going over and over and over and over again. The internship I got, like I said, I didn't apply for it, and I reached out to a stranger on LinkedIn because I had listened to her podcast, to her as a guest on a podcast. And I sent a request to her to say, oh, I needed this internship. I didn't know her from anybody. She's not a person of color. So there are so many reasons not to reach out, right? But I decided to reach out, like, because the person will say is no, they can't come and beat me, right? And this one worked out, thank God. But it won't work out if you don't even put out, like, if you don't put in the effort to reach out, to, like, try and create opportunities for yourself in the first place, right? So make use of the internet. The internet is your friend. But do you know one of the list of some of my, like, pet peeves? You know how on Instagram, people literally create content from just putting, like, scholarship opportunities on, like, on their profile, on their Instagram pages. And you will be surprised that, and then they'll say, oh, if you need a link to this scholarship, please comment link, please. And everybody keeps commenting link, please. And if you just Google search, right, and search for that scholarship, you would see the exact link to what you're looking for. But we are very lazy people in this our generation, and we want everybody to give us everything, right? So you would even comment, you rather comment link, please, so that they can send it to your DM than for you to actually just go on Google and search for scholarship opportunities. I'm not blaming the content creators. They should go ahead. Honestly, they're making, like, they are taking, they see an opportunity and they are taking advantage of that opportunity, right? But the challenge is, don't be lazy. Don't be that person that is waiting to be spoon fed, and like for take initiatives on your own. Go online, search for what you want, right? And go after, look for people that are, just like you said, working in that company. You don't limit yourself to one person. Spread your tentacles, reach out to as many people as possible. It's hard work, but that's the price to pay to get to like where you want to get to. I will not overflow this issue, and I'll just move on to the next question. Um, so my next question will be for Victor. When reviewing applications for like entry level roles, what are you actively looking out for? So I don't have so much experience, but I've put in maybe the few courses that I have done. So yeah, when you pick up the person's CV, what are you looking out for?
So I think I'll speak, generically. It sort of depends on the role, right? But I'll try as much as possible to speak in general terms.
Mhm.
Because for some roles, it's easier to show proof of work than for other roles. Say you are maybe a designer, for example, right? You don't particularly need to have worked with tons of people. You can, just vibe, design, and then, you're able to curate a portfolio. But you can't say, for example, that you are, a what's the word now? You can't say, for example, you are HR, for instance, and just cook up work experience in that sense, or say you have a portfolio in that sense. So yeah, it depends. So what do I look out for? I think ideally, right, the expectation isn't that you just finished school and you have 15 years work experience.
Mhm.
Um, but the competition now is terrible.
It's crazy. Mhm.
There are a lot of people who are turning out every year who are in dire need of job, and just want to get something. Some people are just changing industry entirely. People who even study the course have not even gotten I've
Mhm.
not even gotten opportunities. The opportunity hasn't gone around, and then you didn't even study the course. And yeah. So what do I look out for? I look out for potential, right? And I think that's what a lot of people look out for. So think of graduate trainings, think of people who have entry level programs. You just first job you're getting, start of your career. Yeah, um, looking for potential. And how do you
Show
spot that
potential.
potential? How do you spot that potential? You spot that potential in what the person is able to bring to the table, regardless of their current condition, or in spite of your current condition. So I'm looking at how interested is this person, in this thing that they have applied for. Because again, another trend that I've seen is that at the start of your career like that, a lot of people are just trying out new things. So you won't be surprised if they see customer experience role today, they apply. They see HR tomorrow, they apply. They see they're just spreading their tentacles. Anyone that clicks is what works. And so you want to see what's the proof that this person is genuinely interested in this thing. You were citing an interesting example about yourself earlier about how you were reading, practically everything you could find about data protection. And that's one of such examples that, as an HR person, I'm looking out for. How hungry is this person? And what is the proof that this person has been building a solid interest in what they are about to start doing? Right. No matter how little, there's always something you can do to show that you are genuinely interested in building a career in this thing. For me in HR, for example, one of the things I did back then was that LinkedIn typically offers 1 month free premium, right?
Yeah.
So what I did was that I looked for a month that I was sort of free. I was relatively free. I just finished school, and I took I applied for 1 month LinkedIn premium. They will ask you to put your credit card. I know there was no money in that card, so but I just needed that 1 month free, and I took over 30 courses in that 1 month. And many of them were tailored towards HR, were tailored towards data analytics, they were tailored towards that. So I just piled my CV with all of that. And in this thing, I'm really interested. So it shows that this person is really interested for you to devote time to doing this thing. And when I did those courses, I talked about it on LinkedIn, and a lot of people were reaching out to me like, how did you do it, how did you get the courses? And I'm like, well, this thing is just common sense, like it's free, just make out time and take the courses, right? Aside from LinkedIn, there were also a couple of places that are taking courses from there were some communities I joined, there was a scholarship I got. So I made sure to put all of those things. I didn't have any work experience. All I was just building was just, a knowledge base for the career I wanted to be in. I was reaching out to people, I was sending cold emails. And I think before I got my first job, I had applied to more than 110. Yeah, 110 places, yeah, before I got my first role. So I had shown over time that I was really genuinely interested in this thing. I was talking with people, and there's no way you want to do any of that those efforts don't compound.
Those
They will
compounds.
compound, in the way your
Yes.
CV looks.
Yes.
They will compound when you get an interview invite,
Right.
right? And for me, one of the standout moments was there was an interview I went for, and the recruiter straight up told me that I have seen people with 3-4 years experience in this field that don't know what you know, even though you've never gotten a job in this yet, right? And for me, it was a reward that, okay, all the hours I spent, learning about, few things were working out. I didn't get that job, but for me, that feedback was really, really
Okay.
impressive.
Yeah.
So to piggyback to the question, what do we look out for? Yeah, I think it's just that proof of workings. I think that's just it. You may not have the experience, right? You may not have the nobody is expecting you to have worked in a ton of other places, but how you are able to connect the things you've done to what you want to do. Even if it's as simple as managing a project, if it's as simple as increasing maybe sign up or membership for a conference in your department or something by X amount. The recruiter is not looking particularly for the fantastic places you've worked. They're just trying to see what you've learned and how you've been able to apply them. So yeah, that's typically what recruiters look out for.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. I have a follow-up question on what you just said.
Yeah, sure.
It's about so if you're early entry, like you're just finishing school, you're trying to get into an industry, and you see like a job advert that is like it says 2 years experience, specifically as someone that just finished, you probably don't have up to 2 years experience. Should you still apply for the role, or should you restrict yourself to strictly graduate roles, 1 year experience, or how should you balance not letting go of opportunities, but also not overestimating yourself?
So let me tell you a secret, right? When you see a job description
Mhm.
and the list that this is, who we're expecting, nobody is expecting that you have 100% of what's they listed there,
Yeah.
right? They will tell you that ability to use the software. They will tell you that this person must be a graduate, bachelor's, this blah, blah, blah is preferred. They will tell you that this person must have an analytical mindset. They will tell you that this must that, this must this. Because to be frank, if you have all those things, the role is not going to be challenging for you.
Mm.
So the idea is that as you are adding value to the organization, right? You as a person are also, value is also in turn added to you, such that even at the point when you enter in this role, you may not have all that we need, right? But over time, you are able to evolve into that. That's why they usually say ideal, our ideal candidate for this role. And in a number of instances, that ideal condition, they don't always happen 100% of the time, right? There's no perfect ideal person for any role. You may have all the qualifications, but you may not be the personality spec for the role. So it's a whole lot of other things that are embedded into it. So I don't think because when you read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things and you see one thing that you don't have, you should automatically disqualify yourself. Someone says you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Right. So if it's because you think that, oh, I don't have one thing that they are requesting for here, but all the softwares that they're asking for, you can use it. Right. maybe the particular experience they are seeking for or the specialty they are seeking for, you have it. It's just that your own is not up to 2 years and you just finished school. I think you should go ahead and apply. What's the worst that will happen? You won't hear from them. But one thing happens is that you've applied, right? You've probably crafted a maybe an email or something to go along with it. Some of these things are even easy now. With just a click of a finger, you can apply for a role. You don't need to attach a cover letter. Just upload your CV, answer a bunch of questions, and hit submit. And that's it, right? So I think that if you feel like you have some, you may not have all. I think you should go ahead and apply. When you should not apply is if you're seeing things like 10 years experience and you're just finishing school. You're stressing recruiters, to be frank.
Yeah.
You're stressing us because they are saying this person must have leadership, this person must have led a team, this person must have, and you know that it is punching above your weight. But I will not aspire to perspire you to
apply for it.
to apply for those kind of roles, right? It's just, it's just stressing people. And some organizations, if they see your profile coming a couple of times, you can just blacklist you, such that you won't be able to apply for, you won't be able to apply for future roles because it's a clear indication that you don't know what you want. This one, team lead of this one, you apply. Team lead of that one, you apply. This one, you apply. Your emails, your name will keep coming up, and then once they see it, like, this person is not serious. Yeah. So I think that I would even classify 1-2 years experience as entry level, to be frank. Yeah.
All right then. Thank you so much. That's very profound. Yeah, I'm not going to go right again, and I'll just move on back to Shado. So Shado, first off, when in like making applications, especially for people with legal backgrounds, what do you think about creative CVs? Like, the CVs that you have colors, like in a bit to stand out, people would add fancy colors to their CVs. Like, does that work, or what should a proper format look like, especially for when you're applying to law firms? Because I know that like you can be a little bit conservative in law. So should you go the fancy CV approach, or should you go the conservative one?
So yeah, thank you. Generally, I would say it's best to keep it simple and sweet, to be honest. And I would draw from what you've already said. You said that we can be conservative in this profession. So law is a very conservative and sober profession. So you don't want to go contrary to that by bringing in a lot of colors and icons and a lot of creative stuff into your CV. It's just best to keep it simple and sweet. When I write or review CV for people and then they send the original copy they have is usually colored this and that, I just start afresh and just take everything out because you don't want to stress the recruiter. I mean, like people say that a recruiter spends at least or an average of 6 seconds looking at your CV. So if there's a lot of colors and then stuff distracting the person reading your CV, then they might not be able to get the juice out. They might not, be initially attracted to the content itself. They might be thrown off by all the colors that you have on your CV, right? So that's generally. But if it were for a profession or an application outside of the legal profession, then I could probably throw in a bit of colors. Like I remember writing a CV for somebody who's a graphic designer or creative designer. Yeah, you throw in colors, throw in icons, because that goes to show that this person is creatively inclined. It's a creative industry, so you want to portray that you are in tune with creativity, right? But if it's the traditional professions like law, accounting, business, come on, just keep it simple and sweet. 1 pager or 2 pager at most. You can throw in icons for your header. That's the address, the email, a bit of it. You can throw in a bit of icons, but of course not colored. Let it remain black and white. Yeah. So that's what I was saying in terms of creativity on your CV. I would generally discourage it.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you honestly. Because okay, Victor.
Yeah, 100% agree with Olayinka. I just wanted to add a little bit of more context, right? So there's something called ATS, right, that we could
Yeah,
just
I was
use.
coming to that. Mhm.
Okay. So ATS is called, just to strengthen in response to the question, ATS is called an applicant tracking system, and it's a software um, that companies use to filter out applications, right? So say in Carrywise, on the average, for any role, we are getting as much as 1,000 applications,
Wow.
right? Nobody's going to read or go through 1,000 applications. It's not possible, right? So what the ATS does is that it ranks your CV, in terms of how it aligns with what we've put out, and then it gives it a score. So that score, we just go and pick maybe the top 1% or the top 5%, and that's what we look out.
Mm.
Now, that software has a deficiency. It is unable to read text boxes. It is unable to read images. It's unable to read, icons and stuff and all of that. And once it's not able to read that, it just assumes that it's absent
There's nothing
in the
there.
CV. So it affects how it scores you, right? And for some people, you can automate such that anybody below this score, just send them a rejection mail. So nobody's going to even see your CV. Like it's not even popping up as you're applying. It's just it has already scheduled your rejection mail based on I can't see anything in this CV. It doesn't meet the minimum required score. I've already scheduled a rejection mail for this person. So like Olayinka said, except you're applying for creative roles, say graphics designer, then maybe people would want to see how graphically inclined your CV is. But for other roles, legal, for
Oops,
most
that's
entry level roles,
frozen.
how about now?
Okay, you're back.
Yeah. So for most entry level roles, there are lots of people applying, right? Lots and lots of people applying graduate training roles. So no one is absolutely going to go through those CVs. It's just fed directly into an ATS. That's why you notice for some people, you're not even applying and sending your CV to an email. You're just directly applying on either a software or something that is just collecting your CV and then is now filtered out internally. So the more of things that are not text friendly that you put, the lesser your chances of getting it.
Okay. Thank you so much. That's very profound and very so sometimes when you receive rejection emails, it's not necessarily because you don't have the right skills, you don't have like what it takes. It's because of your CV format and that's like places a whole lot of responsibility on you to make sure that your CV is like good and not just in terms of good like your skills, but good in terms of the format. So keep it simple. The summary of this: keep it simple, keep it sweet. Except you're applying for a creative role, right? And I even think that for creative roles, it's more of a portfolio that like they review or they consider candidates more based on portfolios because they want to see what you have done and not necessarily CVs. So it means that your CV might not even be necessary in that regard. But if you are applying for just regular roles, just keep your CV simple, keep it readable, right? And ATS friendly. Okay, thank you. Coming back to you, I'm still on you, Shado. So what are like some things, okay, apart from courses, what are some experiences, skills that you can highlight or emphasize as maybe you just finished your undergrad and you're applying for internship? What are some of the skills that have helped you to land these internships in top law firms?
So you're talking skills and experience, right?
Yes, apart from courses. So Victor has emphasized the role of courses. I've also emphasized that. So apart from that, what experience skills do you emphasize as someone that is early entry, not much experience, or yeah, what's not much work experience? So work experience is different from experience generally, maybe volunteer roles and all that. So what are some of the things you can emphasize on your CV?
All right. So I mean, the very first thing, if you have work experience, then that's what you should put out first
Mm-hmm.
because it's like your strongest point
Yeah.
after your education, right? But for people that just branching into a new industry, and or maybe they haven't done like internships and
Internship.
whatnot. There are things called transferable skills, and I'm sure Victor would be able to provide more insight into that, right? Being an HR person itself. So you particularly don't need to have gained industry experience in that particular industry before you can work in the industry. And this is particularly relevant for entry level roles, right? Because, like you said earlier, coming into an entry level role, nobody expects you to already have it all figured out. Nobody expects you to have all the stuff. So you would need to do some introspection, to be able to figure out some things that you've done in the past that would have something called transferable skills. That's skills that you can transfer from this area to the industry that you want to work in. And there are basic, simple skills. I mean, like if you want to work in an organization where you're relating with people, you definitely need communication skills. You definitely need teamwork, right? So you were in school, you had worked in a team, or you had headed the team, you definitely want to include that experience in your CV. For law students, it's even easier because we have a lot of associations, we have a lot of activities going on as undergraduates. So if you were in tune, if you were involved, you would definitely have something to include on your CV. Say, for example, you were the president of an organization, or you were the president of a particular committee that put together a conference, and you're able to manage that conference to success, right? So you definitely want to have that experience included in your CV, because then it's showing leadership skills, it's showing teamwork, it's showing collaboration, it's showing that you are able to problem solve, right? And then so those are skills that can be transferred into the role that you're applying for, right? So to just enumerate, I would say look out for positions or situations where you work in a team, where you added a team, and at the same time, again, to emphasize courses are really, really important. If you are new into an industry, you definitely want to show and communicate interest in that particular industry by going on to take courses, this and that, do some reading, that would help you to demonstrate that interest, and then have some like knowledge in that particular area. So if you've completed courses online, you definitely want to have those courses included in your CV, right? And for the other experience that I've talked about, or the other activities that I've talked about, you can have them added under your volunteer experience or your leadership experience section of your CV. So you find a way to put it in such a way that you're communicating, and then you are emphasizing those skills that you were able to develop while you did this and this. So, for example, you worked in a team, you managed a committee, you could say, oh, manage the committee of this, improving or demonstrating this and this skill. So you're already highlighting this particular skill that you were able to develop from that particular experience, and you are showing it to whoever is looking at your CV that, okay, yeah, I don't have industry experience, but I have those skills that will be able to help me to kick off and thrive in this particular role. So yeah, that's what I would say in terms of people that don't have actual work experience, and then you're looking to portray that you are a good fit for the role. Leverage on volunteer experiences, leverage on leadership experiences, and even club activities. Being a member of a club is something, because for example, you are interested in intellectual property, and like you're a member of intellectual property club, you are an active member. So it meant that you participated in meetings, you contributed during meetings. So you definitely have some stuff. You can engage in conversations about IP. So you don't necessarily have to be somebody that held an executive role or administrative role in the organization. Mere being a member, you can include on your CV that yes, you're a member of this club, and you highlight the things that you did. You attended this meeting, you contributed at this meeting, you spoke at this and all that. So this would help you to fill up the lapses of not having actual work experience on your CV. I think I'll just end it.
Thank you so much. I absolutely agree with you, and I think that people lots of people look down on like their volunteer roles a lot of times, and they don't count it as like part of experience, and that is not true. Everything counts. Everything counts. When I was applying for my full-time role, the only thing I had, the only work experience I had was the 3 months internship I had done the year before. Every other thing was were volunteer roles. I volunteered in the church I was attending at that time, and it was for a month. I was just there for a month. I was there. I didn't have a title, right? They just knew that, oh, I do this, I have knowledge of data protection, and they're like, oh, we need you to help us review our CCTV policy, data protection policy. And I was like, oh yeah, fine, that's sure. And I reviewed it, I gave feedback, we improved the policies, and yeah, that was one of the things that was on my CV. Also, I was invited to like train to be a facilitator in a data protection boot camp. And we trained like about 150 students for it lasted for like 5 weeks. Yeah, that was also, I was not paid for it. That was a volunteer role, right? And that was on my CV. I spoke about communication skills, because if you are teaching, it means you have to be able to break down complex things into like very comprehensible bits, right? Communication skills, great listening skills, paying attention to detail, and just highlighting all those things in under each experience. So those were the only things. And guess what? When I applied for the role, I got the role. When I resumed, I asked my manager that, oh, what made them hire me? Because interestingly, there was someone in that role before I got into it. So there was like the role was open to everybody, but there was already someone that was doing it. So they interviewed the person that was already doing it. And you would think that since this person is already doing it, then she should get the job instead of bringing in a different person, right? But when I got the role, I asked my manager that, oh, what made them hire me? And she said, I had more experience than the person. And I was like, you say what? I have more experience. It was really funny. Of course, I didn't, in my head, I just said, it's me in my mind that I was thinking to myself that, wow, you had more experience than the person that was doing the actual job before you came in. It just shows that you don't want to, don't look down on the volunteer experiences here and there that you've done. And also the importance of proactivity. You don't have to wait to get to that point when you need to start applying before you start doing things. Like, you have the opportunity to be members of a club, like Shado said, to be members of a club. You are not participating. You are not actively involved. They'll call for meetings. You will not come. They'll say, who wants to lead this community? You will not volunteer. And then you now get out of school. You now say you don't have much experience. You had all those opportunities. What did you use for them? So be proactive. Be thinking ahead that, okay, I would need this. I would need this. The only reason why I could use my internship experience as like I had this in the first place was because I thought about it. I was like, by the time I graduate, I would need experience. So I need to get this internship experience. And I put myself into it. And thank God it worked out. All right. So be proactive, think ahead. Don't wait for the time of need to come before you now start saying, oh, I need to get experience. I need to. No, think about it. 6 months time. Where would I be? What do I want to be doing? What do I have? Or what do I have? Don't I have? How can I close that gap between what I need and what I currently have? Yeah, I hope this helps someone. Before I move on to the next question, please let me know that you are following. Let me know if you are learning, if you are following, if this is something that is giving you great value, you're enjoying the conversation. Let me know in the chat. Just drop a comment. Okay, I can see some reactions from people. Okay, so you're following, and I'll continue. Victor, back to you. Let's talk about cover letters. My first question on that is, do people get punished for not writing cover letters? Because honestly, writing cover letters can be so annoying sometimes. Because you're like, do they even read it? I don't know if it's just me, but anytime I say, oh, I have to write a cover letter, I'm like, ah. But yeah, let's talk cover letters. The people, if they ask for, so let's start from if they don't ask for cover letters, right? You know, there are sometimes that they put it as optional when you're applying for something. If you don't put a cover letter there, is it a disadvantage?
Should I tell you the truth?
Yes. Yes, please.
Me as I am, I don't read it.
Well,
And I know a ton of other friends in the industry that don't read it as well.
okay.
Chances are, if you are, applying to a software like that, just reaction is cracking me up. If you're applying to using a software as that, it's most likely an ATS. And ATS, and most likely not reading your cover letters, and mostly looking at your CV, right? So if they do not require it of you, I don't think it's necessary, right? Because your CV does enough justice. It's just a repetition, and more of like trying to tell your story using text rather than breaking it down into sections. That's what the cover letter is doing. But if it is required of you, I think you should put in the effort, right? How I landed my first role, or particularly if you're applying, using sending an email address, I think people should also be sensitive enough to the platform through which they're applying. So if you're applying and try to imagine how this thing will land in the mind of the person who is receiving it. Say, send your CV to xyz at gmail.com or xyz at yahoo.com, meaning that the person is most likely going to see it as an email, right? So imagine an email that is coming in, right? And you're not just attaching your email, your CV rather. There's maybe some text in the body. So you're not attaching the cover letter now because nobody will open that. Yeah, the body of the mail is your
Yeah,
cover
is your
letter,
cover
not
letter.
something excessive, right? But something that is, instantly this person is able to latch onto. I've read some very impressive CVs. There's a job I got like that. The feedback I got from the person was that I was impressed by your introduction, and I'd like to meet you. And long story short, I got the job. Right. So I'm not watering down the importance of cover letters, but I'm saying that you should be particular about what the application interface looks like, right? And what I do is that I have a generic. The bottom is usually the same, like talking about my experience. But there's a first paragraph that I
Okay.
try to tweak, to fit whoever it is that I'm applying for, or whichever company I'm applying to, right? So I think that's the most important thing. I think there was one I read that said, "Hi, my name is this. I finished from the first class. I finished with the first class in this, but before I finished school, I had done this. Very, very short. But the person in one sentence had summarized why I was reviewing the person's CV. As a matter of fact, there's someone at work that the person hasn't finished NYC yet. But we've interviewed the person and we're like, just finish your NYC. We're ready to offer you a job. And the person just sent a random email, had a brilliant cover letter attached to it, right? So cover letter now as the body of the email, right? So not like as an attachment in
Attachment.
itself. Yeah. So the question now says that would you get punished if you do not attach your cover letter? I think if it is not required, I don't think you're gonna get punished. All right. I think if it is required, I think you should attach it. They might have a reason for doing that. It might be because maybe they want to interview maybe just 3 people and they found 6 outstanding people and they're like, okay, what should we use to, you
Yes.
know, what should we use to weed out the, 3 extra people, and then they start opening your cover letters one by one. So yeah, I don't think you should leave that to chance as well. But in a bit where it's just another attachment that is not required, I don't think you should bug yourself too much about that. Yeah. So wisdom is profitable to direct.
Okay.
Conclusion.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. That's fine. I think I also agree with that perspective. And I would just quickly say something about, because we're also supposed to talk about scholarship. So I'll just quickly say something about personal statements here. I think that when most times scholarships will ask you for personal statements, right? And how to write an outstanding personal statement will be, first, what are the priorities of the organization that you're applying to? And by that, I mean different organizations that offer different scholarships for different purposes, right? So what Chevlin is offering scholarship for would be different from what MasterCard is offering scholarship for, right? So you have to go behind the scenes and look at the ideologies behind these companies, or why they are even offering this scholarship in the first place. Are they trying to build leaders, right? Some prioritize leadership, some prioritize businesses, like business ideas, entrepreneurship. So it will depend on what the priority of that organization offering the scholarship is, right? Is it academic excellence that they are prioritizing? So you know that you need to go all out on your academic performance. So that's the first thing that you need to do. So after you've highlighted what the priorities of the organization are, then you would move over to how to align your own background, experience, skills, everything that you have. How do you align it with the priorities of the organization? So you're not just writing a personal statement to talk about yourself and say all the things that you have done. No, you're talking about the things that specifically align with the priorities of the organization, so that when the person that is reviewing your application picks up your personal statement and they read it, they're like, oh, this is the person that we are looking for. This is someone that we know maybe is academic excellence there is their priority, or this person has been excellent all through. This is a perfect fit for the scholarship that we want to offer. So there has to be that alignment. And then I would say storytelling. AI is good, and we'll have a conversation about AI, and I use AI a lot, right? However, beyond AI, I think AI is just to provide structure for you. I think that every outstanding personal statement, one thing that makes it outstanding is the personalization. Being able to show that this is my story, this is why this scholarship is important for me, but this is why I'm so passionate about going for a master's in intellectual property law, or in going for my MBA, or let there be that connection, let there be that personal story, that it's not just oh, I think this is the next step for me. If you make it very casual to say, oh, I finished my undergrad and I think the next step for me is to go for my master's and this scholarship will really help me. Okay, that's very casual, and you're asking somebody to think about it. You're asking someone to give you thousands of pounds, thousands of dollars, right? Why should they give you? What story do you have to tell? And I think that this is missing in quite I reviewed quite a number of applications from this year, and I saw that was missing over and over again. Having a personalized story, having a compelling story that makes it like every personal statement that you are writing. Let it be that imagine that you have someone in your front and you're trying to convince them and they have a bag of, let's say, $200,000. They have it beside them. So you're trying to convince them that they should give you that bag, that you will make use of it. Treat every personal statement as serious as that. Like you're trying to convince somebody sitting before you. Make your story compelling. If you treat it casually, then you get when the person picks it up, they will get a casual vibe, and you can't fake this thing. If you treat it casually, you get a casual vibe. With every intentionality, with every thing that you put into your application, the person reading it can see how much work went into it, right? And yeah, I'll just stop there and move on. And I hope that helps somebody. Shado, let's talk about multiple interests and how do you tie them all into my CV or to my application without looking like I don't know what I'm doing. So, for example, you said you host events, you do law, you do civil writing for people, and maybe you have some other interests, right? So let's say, and most times people that just finish school, there are some people that fall into this category. They have different interests, different experiences, and different things, right? So how do I tie all these do I need to put all of this in my CV? If I put it there, how do I put it to not make it look as if I don't know what I'm doing and I'm like everywhere, jack of all trade, master of none?
All right, that's a wonderful question. Yeah. So I would say that you should always tailor your CV to the application that you're working on, and which is what I always do, right? So I don't have, if you check my CV now, I don't have the fact that I hosted events up in the main parts, but if you look, you would see it somewhere. But it's not what I want to portray. It's not what I want to put as my strongest point because of the applications that I'm currently making right now. So it's always important to tailor. Everything falls on the bedrock of tailoring your CV to the particular role. Um, I got to a stage where I felt like I'd done a lot of stuff that if I wanted to apply for anything, I had the right experience to just speak and then portray. So I have two types of CVs. I have like my general CV where everything is inside, right? And then I have the ones specific to roles. So if I'm applying to law firms, I'll create a folder and I'll name it law firms or tier one. And there's a CV in there for my law firm applications. If I'm applying to scholarships, I'll create another folder and then have it titled that particular thing, and then I'll have a different CV, not substantially different, but like there are minute variances that I want to have like for that particular role. So it's mostly about knowing what applies to what, right? Like I said, I'm applying to law firms right now. I don't particularly want to have that the fact that I was hosting events as my strongest points because I already have internship experiences. I already have my education. Graduating with the first class is a strong point. I already have internships, like I said, I already have moot competitions, I have writing competitions, I have debate competitions. So those are the things that I would portray first. And then maybe at the point during the interview, then I would mention that, okay, I hosted events. Because, of course, again, this is something that helps to portray that you're a confident person, that you're able to interact with a wide range of audience, old, young, and whatnot. So it's definitely a skill that law firms might be looking out for because you'll be speaking to clients, you'll be speaking to this person and that person. But I know fully well that law firms are not looking at that right now. Being an entry level associate, they don't want me to be at the forefront of stuff. They want to see my interest, they want to see potential. So I am portraying what needs to be portrayed. Yeah, so that's the simple advice that I would just give. Tailor your CV to whatever application that you are working on and look at the job description. When you see this skill is required, that skill is required, go back to your CV and then select, cherry picking, select the experiences that you want that align with that particular role and then like put that on your CV. You don't want to include everything on your CV. I mean, you can be a jack of all trades, but show that at least you have tailored interests, you have specific interests, and you are willing to, to dispense what experience and knowledge you have in that particular area for this particular role. It makes it easy for whoever is looking at your CV to know that, okay, you're a good fit for the role.
Thank you. Absolutely, I agree with you. For a very long time, I have writing experience because I was but I was actively a freelance content writer, right, for a very long time. That's like for 5 years, yeah, thereabouts, right? And but at some point when like I started applying for privacy data protection role, I never included that on my in my CVs because it's not what they need. If I were to be applying for a different content writing or content marketing role, then absolutely I would include it there. But for privacy, data protection, information governance, it was not necessary, so I couldn't include it in my CV. Sometimes I would bring it up in my conversation too if I get an interview, and I would say, oh, communication experience, both oral and written. In fact, I used to work as a marketer. I used to talk to people. I used to write to them and emphasize that aspect. But on my CV, no, I didn't used to put it there because it was not relevant. So the point is, you'd have to tailor your CV and you emphasize the experience that they need on your CV. so that you don't look like you're all over the place, right? Um, I don't know if Victor has something to say about that before I move on to my next question.
I think you pretty much I'm at it. There's nothing I would have said differently.
Okay, all right then. So let's talk about like interviews. Let's talk about interviews because I feel like a lot of people maybe you make the grades application and they've called you for an interview, uh, and then people there's that anxiety, and it's at the interview level that's like some people miss the opportunities. So what does like if I'm coming for an interview, what should I have in mind? What should be at the back of my mind? What should my priorities be when I'm coming for an interview?
Hmm. That's a very, very general question.
Yeah.
So I'll just try and speak generally, right? First thing you must understand is that you've crossed the order where a lot of people fall off, which is the CV stage. Now, you may be invited in for an interview. It's probably due to a number of reasons. One, the ATS has read your CV and said it was nice enough for you to be invited for an interview, or there's an actual human being that has reviewed it and seen some form of potential along the line of what they want, right? So the interview is only testing, or just like a factor authentication to say this thing that we have noticed, is it truly true, or is this person just jonesing us, or is just giving us bubble on the CV? So I think that's one thing that should be at the back of your mind, is that look, I've scaled one stage, and it means that these people have seen some form of potential in me to call me for the interview. So that in itself should reinforce some form of confidence or self-belief in you in going for the interview. Because I find that for many entry level roles, that is first of all even missing. The person doesn't even believe enough in themselves that I was invited, for this interview. Especially if it's a company that you've been really wanting to get into, or maybe a company that you really admire. I don't know, maybe they're just starstruck, or and
Yeah.
I'm talking about this thing from a point of like I can relate to. I see this, literally all the time. Like I can tell that this person, there's something there, but you're just in awe, and you have allowed the awe to overwhelm you.
Overwhelm you.
You know,
Yes.
yeah. And there's particularly someone like that. I mean, the person was already walking out. I had to call the person back here and say, "Don't do this next time. Oh. You will not get the job, but don't do this next time." You were just flat for the interview, but you had a warm personality. You were invited into the interview because you had potential, but you're not answering questions. You are fidgeting. There are like three other people that are outside waiting to be interviewed, and I'm not going to, because I think, oh, this person has potential, and now show the person that is really, as yeah, people who are equally showing potential as you, right?
Yeah.
So the interview is just to select the most appropriate fit. So I think that, and I'm choosing to dwell on that because I see that that's something that is missing, in a number of people, that confidence, right? Two is that interviews are a two-way street. Two-way street in the sense that the company is getting to know more about you and see if you're a fit for them. You should also be assessing the company, whoever it is, the hiring manager, and seeing, is this someone I can work with? Is this somebody that I can flow with? Is this but I find that missing in a couple of entry level people. Maybe because they think I'll just take anything that
That you
that
give
you
me.
first time that you
Yeah.
give me your first time. But the truth is that even if what you are doing is as simple as making the life of your manager easy and taking some stress off them, that's still some value, because that means that in return, that person is able to offer more value to the company by you, taking some of the load off them. So nothing is demeaning in itself. So you should carry yourself with that confidence, not in a pompous, proud way, but it gives you some form of self-assurance, right? So I think that's it. The other thing would be to prepare when you're going for an interview. Prepare. And I also see that that's missing a lot today. People just wing it.
Mhm.
They invited me to come. I'll just go. Let's see how it goes. Ah, hmm, you
You would
prepare.
actually see how it goes.
You actually see how it goes. So you have to prepare. they may not ask you some of the questions that you prepared for, but one thing preparation does to you is that it sharpens your mind, right? It, it makes you aware of some of the things that you didn't even know that you knew. So maybe you were preparing for tell me about yourself, and they didn't ask you about that. They were like, oh, what was your experience like in school? The fact that you prepared for tell me about yourself would in some way affect how you narrate or tell the story about your school experience,
Mhm.
right? So it's never wrong. Please go all out and prepare. Do your research, do your homework. An extra thing that I do, right, that I think you can also do when you're going for interviews is to, if you are able to know about the people who are going to be interviewing you,
Yes.
is to read up about them.
Mhm.
So our career wise, and I don't know till today if it worked though, but it was a nice thing that I did. The CEO is from the same hometown as me, right? And how did I get that? It was from watching one of the YouTube interviews that I did. So during my interview, I typically don't say where I'm from, but I made sure I talked in a way that
Right,
I
we enter
mentioned
it.
where I'm from. At the moment I mentioned that, I just noticed that there was this smile across his face. He didn't want to show it, but I'm like, ah, yeah, I got this
It
guy.
worked.
Maybe
Yeah,
that may not be why I got the job, but that may
worked.
be enough reason for him to want to listen to me,
Yes.
to say,
Yes.
oh, this guy's from, interesting. I'm interested in what you have to say. Right. So, and those things, you cannot point to particular, this is one reason why I got hired. There are a number of things that compound, that come together, to make that possible.
Yeah.
What you've been doing before, how you portrayed yourself, is intellectual
Intellectual
nepotism.
nepotism. I like that phrase.
Well, I mean, right. So I've also been in an interview where the person I figured was an Arsenal fan or something like that, right? And somehow I said, oh, when I'm not working, I
I'm
like to
watching
follow the
football.
Premier League, and then particularly because my favorite team is now, doing this. And then the person now asks, "What's your favorite team?" Me,
Okay.
that I know that I know
Yeah,
you know.
that's your favorite team.
So, and those things, they light up the room.
Mhm,
They look like they were not rehearsed, but you actually rehearsed for it.
mhm.
And at the end of the day, it may not be what gets you the job, but it will be what gets you some form of attention, right? In that, this person did this and that and all of that. So you just find like creative ways to sort of blend it into the interview first. Yeah. So I think those three things, be confident in yourself, prepare, in terms of preparing for yourself. And then if you can, do your homework about the people that you're going to be meeting.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Absolutely. And it's funny how I have experiential or I have experience of like, everything that you said. The first one is like being flustered. I think that you need to demystify, like as much as you appreciate the company and you think highly of them, you also need to
Mm-hmm,
demystify them in a way that you don't see that, oh my god, they are doing me a favor and I
mm-hmm,
hope I'm
mm-hmm,
worthy of them, because
mm-hmm,
anytime you do that, it affects your confidence, it affects how you perceive them. Always see yourself as the reason why they've called me is because, or why they have even put out this role in the first place is they need me. All right. And if they've
yeah.
called me, it's because I have something to offer them, right? And
Mm-hmm,
so I have an answer to whatever problem it is that is going on in their organization, in their company. And
mm-hmm,
yes, and so when you see from that perspective that they're not doing you a favor, it's well, if they're doing me a favor, I'm also doing them a favor. We are both exchanging value, right? It makes it easy for you to not be flustered and not to like get overwhelmed about the type of company that has invited you. So yes, that's very important. Um, and also interviews that is about personalities. And trust me, this is coming from someone that has done interviews over and over again. Number one, I like physical interviews because I feel like we get to, I don't like virtual ones because it seems very, oh, just answer the questions. But if it's physical, we get to, I don't know, it's just me. There's some type of way it feels for me. And it helps you, whether virtual or physical, please always express personality. Like, don't, and you have to, just like Victor said, sometimes you have to prepare for it. You have to research, and when you research for people, when you research the people that like will be interviewing you, maybe the manager of the role, or the people that will be on the panel, it helps you to structure the type of conversation that you will have with them. As much as, oh yes, you want to just make it feel natural, because I know that some people be like, oh, I don't want to over prepare so that I won't be sounding like I'm reading a script. But it's when you have that script in your head that you'll be able to say things and make it feel natural. It's better for you to have that script at the back of your mind than for you to just go there and say you're just going to wing it. So prepare, research for the people that will be it's those little details here and there that could maybe give you an advantage. And I think that there is something called personality hire, where the person is not necessarily, the person is qualified, right? But they also have a great personality. Nobody wants to be working with somebody that will just be squeezing their face and does not know how to maybe hold a conversation, or it's just going to be like the downer in the team. Everybody wants a good team player. So I think all this together would help you in your interview. I think we've covered most of the questions that I have here. And so I'm just going to throw it open to our audience and ask, do you guys have any questions right now? Specific questions that we haven't covered? Anybody? Okay, Moyo, you have the floor. Please unmute yourself.
Okay, good morning. Yes, thank you so much for the session so far. It has been very helpful. My question is, I heard that there is this test. I'm talking about like the test, text requirement for some interviews. I heard that was last. I heard some firms will give you tests like psychometric tests, what's test, and also I was like, wow. So I've been gathering information about it online, but I think for me, I'm not really certain. Like, is there a correct platform to take those tests, especially the CCAT test? I saw like different kind of platforms, and when I was trying to ascertain which one was correct, my attempts were not really successful. So like also how to like practice correctly for these tests. I plan to still ask some people that were past parents last year, but I'm still trying to build relationship with them, so it does not look like that's exactly why I reached out to them. So that's my question: how to prepare very well for this test, especially law firms. I know law firms give tests a lot, all this quantitative reasoning and all that. So that's my question.
Okay. Victor, I'll ask Shado, because Shado also is a lawyer and is, also has experience with that. But Victor, do you have something to say about that psychometric test?
I think you're in the right line. Especially tailored to what you're asking for. You can always ask the people that have gone before you. And I think it's a life hack. Whenever you want to do something and there's somebody that has done it before, just straight up ask the person. I mean, you don't even need to take time and say, oh, that's the reason why I reached out. You may be surprised that they are more happy to help than you are interested in asking, right? So they'll be like, oh yeah, I use these resources, just one link, and then it will be a Google Drive of like practice questions that they used, and stuff like that. So yeah, please feel free to reach out to them to ask for things like that. At the start of my career too, all I did was I just reached out to someone. They sent me a bunch of GMAT test questions to practice with, things that people, typically would practice with, and I was practicing with them. Did I eventually get to use them? Yeah, in some places, yes, I did. So it's just an ask away, to be frank. The way to prepare is to, get practice questions. And if they tell you that, oh, there are no practice questions, you can tell them you can maybe just request for a meeting, or, just ask the person send a VN. What was the experience like for you? Can you remember all the questions? I'm just trying to prepare myself and all of that. And yeah, you'll be surprised that people will be happy to oblige you.
Thank you. Shado, do you have anything to say about that? And also, somebody's asking in the comment section that I heard some interviews often have GMATs as part of interview stages. How do you approach this also? What's the usual stage of application for law firms? And how early should you start applying while in law school? So it's like a couple of questions mixed together.
Mhm. So, okay,
Oh,
do you want to go?
yeah, that's what Shado specifically, because it's like
Okay.
there and all.
Okay, so I think I'll start with the final question because that's what I remember first. Question about how when to start applying
That's fine.
and when to start applying. How do you approach the GMAT and what's the third bit of that particular question?
Yeah, how do you approach this like GMAT, and then what are the usual stages of application for law firms?
Okay,
And then how early should you start applying?
so yeah, for how early should you start applying? It varies. It varies, to be honest, because different firms start receiving applications at different times.
Sometimes.
But you want to keep your ears your ears to the ground and your high spirit because you need to know when a particular law firm actually starts receiving applications. There are some that will do the general publicity. They will publish on their LinkedIn or their IG, right? Just a few of them. The popular ones are local Templars. They'll probably publish it on their media platforms. But there are others that you wouldn't hear anything about it. For example, Lani, you would not hear anything about it, right? But application is going on. So you need to first of all find yourself in a circle of friends.
Oops, you're frozen. I don't know if you can hear me. Okay, we can see you now.
Apologies, apologies. Yeah. So I was saying that you need to first of all find yourself in a circle of friends that are also applying, right? And people do actually know stuff. So look out for people that are ambitious in quotes because those are the ones that are the people that would most likely know when this thing happened. To be honest, right? It's as easy as I know this law firm has started receiving applications. Send an application now. So it's very smart because you need to know you don't want to send too early. I don't want to send too late. You just want to send at the nick of time.
Okay.
Send early. Law firms are not reviewing at that time, so they'll most likely not look at your application. And you just think that you sent it. Right? If you send too late, then they will have probably reviewed the applications and maybe gotten to the first stage of the test. And at that point, your application can no longer be considered. So you really need a couple of people that know this stuff, right? And that's number one. And number two would be to also like interact with people that work there. Like if you know somebody, a senior colleague who's currently working in the particular law firm that you're trying to get into, they would definitely be able to find out when their law firm is taking application and they will tell you, right? In fact, that's usually how people that know when to apply.
You know,
Whether they know they've interned there before and they're in contact with the HR or they're in contact with somebody that actually works there. So they can really just they are receiving applications now, send your application to this particular law firm. And then you have the good ones that would actually notify you and then tell you to apply. Fine, Aluko will do that, Templars will do that. But many others will not. So you just need to know when to apply. And then usually this happens when you are actually in law school. I just went through that phase. I've been doing a lot of applications, tests, and interviews. So like I'm speaking like first hand.
that's an experience.
You're in law school, you're reading, but at the same time you have to prepare for a test. There was a particular week I did like 4 tests, and I had
Wow.
to travel down to Lagos and back to Bielsa. It was crazy. It was very crazy.
Wow.
So yeah, you really need to be in tune with what is happening, and that's how you can get involved. Right. So in terms of the stages that the applications usually take, again, it depends on the particular law firm. But the tier ones, they will usually have the stage where they receive applications. Sometimes it could be you uploading your CV to a particular platform like we've spoken about. Other times it could be sending direct emails to a particular email. Right. Whichever it is, you should know what works. When you do that, it will take a while. Maybe sometimes the tier ones don't really take a long time before you actually get back. Maybe 3 weeks, you would have heard that they start sending test invites to certain people. Again, it really helps if you have like a circle of people that are actually doing this thing. So you can create a group chat of people that are looking for that are working on applications there
Yeah.
to be And make sure to involve people that actually know stuff. Not all of you are on the same level. You don't know what's going on. You people will not be able to get ahead of you. So involve people that actually know stuff. Are like maybe they've done internships here, or they really just know stuff, right? So have them in that particular group, and then they could be able to drag every other person along. So you will have the test invite after the initial screening. Some law firms do 2 stages of test. Aliko, you'd have um, an online test that's like the GMAT kind of test. You have numerical reasoning, abstract reasoning, and all that stuff. If you pass that, then you go into the office for the physical test. The physical test comprises of law school questions, like typically bar finals, right? So you need to be, in tune with whatever you've been reading for that particular test. And afterwards, you do an interview, right? That's what I look. Olani, again, so you also have a 2 stage test. You do one test and then you do another test. Both of them are online. Afterwards, you get called for an interview. I think it ends with a presentation on the particular area of interest that you're comfortable with. So that's like, yeah, the difference. But which other law firms? I know Strand and Bland now. I recently just did Strand and Bland's test yesterday. So they had a test too. Afterwards, you probably do another test and then an interview, or maybe just straight up to an interview. UBO, that's Doma. They've done the test, they've done their interview. So a lot of law firms have actually done stuff now. If you're just waking up, then you need to you need to actually like if they want law firms, majority of them have already like gone far with their applications. But Templar just received the application. Deadline is closed already. But yeah, deadline is closed. So anytime from now they should start inviting people for tests. GLI, they haven't done anything yet. Those ones they are very, very low key, and maybe like until like later, maybe January or now, sometime around now is usually when they start taking applications, and they're very very low key, like because they know who they're looking for. They have like they have a standard number one, and then they have like a personality. If you've been at the firm, you know the kind of people that you normally take. They like to take nerds, people that are, you know, yeah. So I've been there, so I know what I'm saying. So they know the kind of people they are looking for. Double first class, people that are not so uh, out there and then just like really cool. They just like to do good work and then do whatever they want to do. Right. So that's what you're like. But then the mistake people now make is now restricting their applications to tier one law firms. There's enough competition already, right? So you want to broaden your tentacles. You need to be applying to tier one or tier two, tier three or shall they apply because one that would eat, right? You don't know one that would eat. So what I would say is to create a list. This is what I usually do when I'm trying to like get a particular internship. I just create a list of law firms, a list of organizations that are in that particular industry, and then I get their emails and I just keep sending and sending and sending. Send them 2 3 weeks after, and it's a checklist for me. So that if you've not done that, you should do that right now. I have a list of tier one, tier two, and then get their emails. And that's trick again when you are sending emails for law firm is to find the email of the HR personnel. Mr. Victor can probably attest. So when you send an application to say maybe careers at aluko and webody.com, if you know the email of the HR, CC that, yeah, CC the HR into it because then you're getting the person's attention. But if you're sending it just to the careers email, chances that like if they're not reviewing at the time, they might not see.
You may not. Yeah.
They're not actively looking at that particular depository of emails and all that until maybe they need to. So all the applications I made, I will CC the HR personnel. Again, having people that know stuff will help you because if you don't have somebody that has that email, then you probably cannot do what I'm saying to do.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and after you take the interview and then the license.
I'm so sorry, we are struggling to hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, better.
So I was saying like after the test, you do the interview. Some law firms I want to do a presentation during the interview, or after like Olani, you have a presentation after your interview, or it could just be that okay, you get an offer. So that's like that's just like the stuff what the application process is like. But in terms of like preparing for the test again, Mr. Victor has really said it all. You need to know somebody that have been there before. Right? It makes it a lot easier. Because sometimes you realize that the people that have actually gone there before, they have pictures of those tests. They actually have pictures. And I'm saying it because this is something that find the answer.
Oh, you're breaking. Your network. We can't hear you. Hi, Olayinka. If you can hear me, could you like try to join back because we can't hear you. The Elizabeth, could you please mute your mic?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
I just switched to the network. So yeah, so I'll say that it's very, very important that you speak to somebody that has done this particular test or that has gone through that process, because then they can easily tell you what are things. Some things change every year, right? So it's very, very important that you speak to somebody that really teaches that maybe in the past year they've gone through that process. Then, like I said, they could tell you the focus areas, right? They could ask them or questions. And sometimes it might not be like what the questions is going to be like, right? Makes it a lot easier for you. So right now, I haven't really been going online to look for sites where I get practice tests. I just need to reach out to people that have done it, and then you could easily just guide me. Okay, if it's law school questions, they will tell you, oh, the question is going to come out from this area, from that area. You go brush up on your law school topics, and then you see the questions right. If it's GMAT, if it's SAT, they will probably have some pictures. These things go around. Like I'm in that process, and I know what I'm saying. So you need to be in the know. These things are going around, they're going in circles. So you just need to find a way to plug yourself to a person that is actually actively involved in this thing. Pictures would fly around, people would see pictures, people would practice. Sometimes it might be crooked up, so you might not be able to do any other thing. You just have to like really focus on what you're
Focus
doing.
on, yeah.
And again, you might see that the questions that you prepared for might not come out, but all well and good. You already have a sense of what the test is going to be like, so you can easily just answer the question. So yeah, that's what I would say in terms of like approaching the application and then preparing for the test. I'm not sure if I'm missing out on any part of the question. Am I?
No. That's it. Thank you. Thank you so much, Victor. I don't know if you have anything to say to that, because I know you wanted to say something initially.
I think he has done more than enough justice. He has given very, very practical instances. Yeah.
All right, then, perfect. We have Great Adams, and you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Mr. Olayinka made mention of times when certain law firms will make announcements on their media platforms on certain job openings that they have. Now, that's great, but the question now is, I thought it would be better to perhaps just send job applications, job requests to these law firms first, beforehand, before announcing that they're in need of positions, certain positions. So that, I guess that will work by sending emails, sending cover emails and cover letters with your CVs to these law firms before they make announcements, in a way where you try to pitch your services and your skills to these law firms. The problem now is getting these emails, the HR emails, founder emails of these firms and organizations. So I wanted to ask if perhaps there is this sort of secret, or I don't know if the speakers would have any idea regarding that, where there is some sort of website out there, a platform, any documents where there is a compiled list of these emails. I don't know, that sounds like I'm trying to cheat the system, but I believe I'm just trying to be very quick about the whole thing. So instead of waiting for law firms to send announcements and applications, why not undergraduate ourselves just take that moves and send cover letters and CVs, announcing interest to work with them beforehand, before making announcements. So where can we get the emails of this, especially on their HR departments, before they make announcements for jobs? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that question. I think Shado said something about it earlier, about the like timing of application. The fact that number one, you don't want to apply too early, and also you don't want to apply too late, because if you apply too early, they might, because they're not reviewing at that time, your application might get lost in the process, right? And if you apply too late, then it's late. So you want to target like at the time where they're applying. But what you are saying is also good. Like you can decide to do two-factor authentication where you say, okay, even before they announce that they have these roles that are open, I want to reach out to this person, and which I always like I canvas for. So that's absolutely fine. So you need to be able to strike the balance between both of them. So, but over to you, Shado, and let's Victor go first this time. Victor, where can we find HR emails? Where can I find your email on the internet? If I don't know you personally.
Just don't look at my email.
If I don't know you personally, where can I find your
Allow me
email?
to breathe. So some people have different opinions about this thing. Some people don't open cold emails, right? I know HR professionals don't open cold emails. I have a boss that if you send him an email and you don't tell him how you got his email address, he's not going to respond to you because he said, "This is my work email address. How did you get the email address?" That's what you should leave with. "Hi, my name is this. I got your email from this, and I'm reaching out." So it was not going to reply to you. For me, I try to reply if it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, I just ignore because there are a lot of them that come in. But to answer your question on how do you, or maybe let me correct that, not all the time. It's not HR's prerogative to make this decision sometimes because you're not going to report to HR. You're most likely going to be reporting to the hiring manager. Hiring manager here is the person who you're going to be reporting to. The person, whoever gets the role, who that role reports to. So HR may not even know that, legal is supposed, and I'm speaking beyond just law firms. I'm speaking, about other companies, tech companies, fintech companies, FMCGs. They also have legal units as well, legal teams, right? So they may not know what their plan is. It may be that, even though we had budgeted that, or we had predicted that this year legal team is not going to need to hire anyone, or maybe down the line, maybe one employee gets maybe the health is not so great and the person needs to be away for some time, and they need someone to like an entry level person to fill in. HR might not be aware that that is happening, but the hiring manager is aware. So I think that you should not just aim to just get the HR's email alone, but the hiring manager's email as well. But on how you can get their email, one cool way, right, is to go for your event and just say, "I'd like to meet you. Can I have your card?" I'm yet to see anybody that says, "No, I'm not going to give you my card."
My card.
Yeah, so except if they don't have one, right? And even if they don't have one, you can say, "Oh, can I have your email address or your phone number?" You'll be surprised that most people oblige, especially if you meet them at mutual events, right? So and on their card, there's nobody's card that does not have email address.
Email address.
I'm yet to see one shot. So that's one cool way to get email address. But the thing to that is, how many events do you want to go for?
Good.
Now, there are some interesting AI tools that integrate with LinkedIn. I can't really remember now, right? But there was one I used at a point when I wanted to get some email addresses. Because all you need is the domain name and the email format. So some companies use first name at companyname.com.
Yeah.
First name dot last name. So you can see maybe Victor at carrywise.com or victor.ademo at carrywise.com, or the first letter of my name, v.ademo at carrywise.com, or v.ademo at carrywise.ng. So all you need to know is like what's their domain and what's the formats they use, So different companies use different ones. So interesting thing is that if you get one person's home, you might be able to predict what the other person's home might be.
Will be.
Yeah. So what this tool does is that it looks, online, searches online at where, especially on LinkedIn, where these things have popped up before, and then it actually generates what the likely email address would be. So I can't remember the name of the tool now, but I'm sure if you Google online, you would be able to see. It just integrates with LinkedIn, and then whenever it searches anyone's profile, it just helps you pop up the email address of the work email address of the person. Yeah, so those are ways I know. Third is to leverage on your connections. If you know somebody that knows someone that works there, you can just decide to ask for the email address. Email address is more impersonal than asking for phone number. So people are more willing to volunteer their email addresses than they are their phone number. So, oh, hi, my name is this person. I'm trying to connect with this person. Do you mind sharing their email address? And they share the email address. So yeah, I don't know if I answered your questions.
Yes, you did. Thank you. Shado, do you have anything to say? It seems that Shado has lots of updates. He's always in the center of
Yeah,
where
he has the OT.
information where information is flying. So please go ahead. How do you used to find these emails?
Before I speak about the emails, I mean, like Adams had a question about trying to be proactive enough to send application before.
Application before.
Yeah, I'm just going to reiterate what I said earlier about actually waiting for the right time. Like, but then again, like because you might be difficult for you to tell when the right time is. It's still okay to send the emails, like Tony has said. Another thing you can do, particularly if like I want to assume you are talking about law firm applications, you could also reach out to like a partner on LinkedIn, right? You know a partner that works at this place. Tell the person, oh, you are a fresh graduate, or maybe you are currently in law school, and then you are looking to apply to this particular firm. So it's like you sending a cold email to the partner to ask the partner to put in a good word for you to the HR. That works. I know people that have done that and then they help them. Right. So it's like you jumping the gun. So when the application actually starts, the partner is impressed with how you presented yourself and then your CV or whatever you send to the person. Then the partner can easily just forward that to the HR person or the hiring manager, and that gives you an entry into the pool of applicants that will be considered. So in addition to you sending application a full time, you can also like reach out to people, partners, particularly partners, because they're usually the ones that can do something like this, particularly partners on LinkedIn, and then ask them to just recommend you. So like you saying, oh, they need a recommendation from you to the HR to be able to be considered. And what that can do for you essentially is to get you to the test stage. Might not be able to give you the actual
New
job because
job. Yes. Mhm.
but it gets to the test stage, and that's what matters. Like we've spoken times with that number, what really matters is getting to the interview. A lot of applications get lost in transit. Some people will be cut off from the initial application process. I mean, not even smell test. It's happening. It continues to happen and it will continue to happen and to pain people, right? But you want to be trying all factors, right? So just as much as you are sending direct application, also try to consider other backdoor ways to get into the test circle. Sometimes maybe a partner might not even be the one that would help you. Could be like a senior associate or even an associate. I remember speaking to someone and the person was like, see, if it's to get test, I can help you to get the test. But like that's what I can do for you. All you just need to do is get the test, pass the test, and then you can progress through the other application process. So I just wanted to just put that out there in response to the question that you asked initially. For getting HR emails, I was going to be, evasive about it before because like we have an HR personnel here.
He said it's a nice one. It's a nice HR. It's not a wicked HR. So
but since you have already like opened the floor and then you have given some tips, like some of what I was even going to say, you have already shown them already. So like thankfully, I don't have to feel a certain way when I'm saying the things that I'm saying, right? So like you said, if you have an idea about how the domain works, first name, last name, or alphabet, the first alphabet of the first name and then their last name. Just figure out how it works. If you know somebody that works there, ask him for his own email, right? See how his email
I
is and
replicate it.
exactly, and then you just get it. Just go look up the partner's email um, online, and then you will be able to figure out the HR personnel's email, right? Um, uh, all right. Sorry, a minute, please.
Yeah, and just to add to what he said, honestly, um, for like going through backdoor and not like always waiting to go through the direct application, that is also profound. I remember one time I like to tell the story a lot because it was very shocking to me. I remember after I made my application I was applying for jobs that time. I made an application, and then I sent out a message on LinkedIn. I connected with someone on LinkedIn to send them like a message to say, I just applied for this job. She was the data protection manager, so it was a data protection role. So I reached out to the data protection manager to say, oh, I just applied for this role. I've applied already, but I just wanted to flag my interest, blah, blah, blah. I'm happy to get on a call with you if you are free. And yeah, and she responded. And she was like, oh, okay, she would forward my, she would like let the hiring manager know about it and forward my name to them. I was like, oh, thank you. Before the end of that evening, I received, unfortunately, right, from that same company. And then the next day, I got an interview invite, right? So it meant that maybe my CV did not pass the like whatever criteria, maybe I don't know what it was initially, but because I had reached out to that data protection manager directly, she maybe reviewed my CV and like said, oh, let's interview this person specifically. So yeah, always have two-factor authentication mindset anytime you are applying for jobs. Shado, are you back?
Yeah. Apologies. So yeah, in addition to what I was saying, another method would be, I think Victor already hinted at that. If you know somebody that works there or somebody that has previously interned there, that's the surefire way. I remember earlier this year I was trying to get an internship at Wando, and I sent an application directly to the careers email. I didn't really hear back from them, but I had a friend that I just interned with the legal department, and she was giving me some tips, right? And then she sends the email of the HR person. The next time when I was sending a follow-up email, I CC'd the HR, and that was when I got the response. And long story short, I got the internship offer at Wando. So stuff like that usually work. You just need to get the attention of the right person, really.
Yeah.
Get the attention of the right person, and then like that's usually how you can you can penetrate. If you are in a club, or maybe you know a club in school, you had this person interviewed, this particular person as a guest speaker, right?
Mhm.
And then you are in that club, you know somebody in that club, you know the president, just reach out to the person, see, like, I'm trying to get to this particular place, I'm trying to get an internship here or a job here. Do you have the contact email of this particular person? Do you mind sharing? And if you don't mind sharing, then you can do that, right? So, but then again, I'm saying ask around, be in a company of people that actually know this stuff, and you can just possibly get the emails. So,
Thank you so much. And I would say that don't restrict yourself to just emails. Make use of LinkedIn too. Especially, yeah, make use of LinkedIn. People, especially if you see that they're active on LinkedIn, right? Don't just restrict yourself to emails. And also about LinkedIn, make your profile such that when you send a connection request to anybody, they will not, by the time they look at it, they will not look like, who is this person? This person just wants to waste my time, or this is not somebody that I want to be connected with, right? This is, I mean, I'm not bragging, but there's nobody I send a connection request to, whoever the person is, that the person would not want to accept my connection request. And that's because like of what my profile looks like. So make your profile look like you know where you're going, or you have somewhere that you're going. Like, don't just make it like very haphazard. Make it look presentable, that anybody, no matter the level at which they are, they would see that, oh, even if you don't have all the experience in the world, but at least you're a serious minded person, you know where you're going, you're a person of value. Yeah. That's what I'll say about that. Does any other person have any other question? You're welcome, Great Adams. Any other question? Okay, Joy.
We went. Okay, good afternoon.
Good
I wasn't even
afternoon.
sure I had clicked it. Um, I want to ask, is it possible probably let me target this question to Victor. Is it possible every HR or hiring manager have different ways they go through your CV? I want to believe that the system is not the same because you're asking a question in a part like in a Zoom meeting like this, and they're telling you, oh, tweak your CV this way, you have to do this, and you follow that direction, and yet no feedback. Somebody else tells you, oh, you have to tweak your CV this way, you have to do it this way. So I don't know, how do we now ensure that we are in a safe space? Like we're just doing everything on our CV to ensure that no matter the kind of person viewing our CV, we're still going to pass the CV. And secondly, you're talking about tailoring your job role, the role you're applying for. Let it the role you're applying for, tailor it to your CV and all of that. Are you now saying that, okay, I have two job roles that I've worked in, one relationship management, two operations manager. So if I say, okay, I want to go for operations, are you now, and operation is my like previous role. I work now as a relationship manager. And then I saw like an operations role. Do I now bring my operations up because I want it to project and take my relationship down, which is my current role? Or I still leave my relationship as my current role and then operation down, but focus more on my operations. Thirdly, sorry, number three, if I am applying for a job, am I supposed to put, and I'm still working, or I want to change the organization, am I supposed to put present, or I should just put, I don't know, am I still supposed to put from 1990 to 2000, 1990 to present, or 1990 to 2000? Let it end there so that it doesn't like show me as an unserious person or something. I don't know. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Wonderful questions, Joyce. Just to be clear, your last question is, I'm still working at the current place, right? You're still working there currently.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So you
Like
just put till
I'm
date
still
or
okay. Okay.
yeah, till date or present, right? Because the interesting thing is that um the reality is that most of us don't always many people don't always edit their CV in total for every application they send out. So maybe you had done the application, I mean the CV maybe 2 months ago, and you want to use that same CV today, and you had put um, maybe the start of the job to maybe say September 2025, and this is December. The person is wondering that, so have you left this place? Why did you leave? It's already raising questions in their mind. Whereas you haven't left, you're still there. So, but till date just keeps you safe. Just helps you stay on the safe beats. And whenever you move on, you just go back and update that CV. The second question is around you worked in relationship, you've done relationship management, now you're in operations. I'm not sure which is which, but my answer to that would be what you want for yourself. I think that would determine how your CV looks going forward. Determine what you want, right? Do you want to now build a career in relationship, or do you want to build a career in operations, or do you want something else entirely, right? I think that would determine where you are more heavy on. So let's say, for example, you've done relationship management. That's where you're currently. I want to apply for another relationship management role. It makes sense, right? That you're just moving roles, right? But let's say you're currently doing relationship, you've done operations in the past, and you want to now move into operations again. I think it depends on how distinct the core skills that are required for both roles are. That would determine, what's going to happen. Another thing that comes into play is how long you work there, because those things form patterns in the mind of whoever is reviewing your CV. So if I'm saying that you didn't put something, whereas you didn't put it deliberately because it's an experience you didn't want to include, I'm seeing it as a gap in your CV. And in my head, I'm like, why was this person out of job for this long? Right. So another thing is, if you do put it, I'm like, this person did operations, they did relationship management, now they want to go back into operations. What's going on? Right. So, but what you want genuinely will now determine what other things in your resume or your CV would be. So I'm going to just go straight into your certifications or training. And I'm saying that, okay, this person did operations in the past. They are doing relationship management now. But I can see that in the last 3 months, they've been going for trainings related to operations. So maybe this person is trying to come back into operations.
Yeah.
So that's why I said you have to start with your why. You have to start with what you want. So if it's operations you now want to do, other areas in your CV will point towards that. And if it's relationship management you want to continue, other areas in your CV would also point to that. Then to the first question around CV and CV formatting, different people will always have different styles, right? And that's the truth on how you should arrange or how you should lay out. For example, at a point in my life, my education was all the way down. But now that I have 2 degrees, it's a little bit up, just show some things. All right. Some people argue, how those placements should work. But what you realize and what I think you should emphasize on is that you will notice some recurring themes in anybody that is telling you about how to write CVs. And I think that's what you should really focus on. Some of the fringes you can maybe choose to do as you want. Some people will say, should you what's the word now? Should you put your email address as an embedded link, or should you write it out in full? I'd say write it out in full, because sometimes the embedded link gets lost in transit. Some people
Yeah.
would say, should your experience come before your certifications, or should your skills come before your personal experience? All those arrangements, it just, as far as it's functional, your CV is functional, right? I think that just stick to the fundamental principles, and then you can live out. So in all those 2 people you're talking about, or the 3 people that you've listened to, or the number of people you've listened to, you would notice that there's something that is recurring, and those are the fundamental principles. Stick with that, and then you can do as you like with the extras.
Thank you. I'm just going to quickly add to that. But you said like very profound things that sometimes, honestly, it's not your CV that is the problem. That I don't know. Sometimes, honestly, genuinely, it's probably not your CV that is the problem. Yes, maybe it could be, but sometimes it's not. It's maybe they want somebody with 3 years experience. They want somebody with 2 years experience. There's something particular that they are looking out for, right? It could be a lot of factors. There are so many factors. So what we are just trying to say is that let your CV not be the problem, right? Do like as much, like just like Victor said, there are some things that are very recurrent in things that you hear people from. Keep it simple, tailor it, make use of keywords as much as possible, keywords in the job description. Try and like adopt those keywords into CVs, into how you are describing your experience and things that you've done. Yeah, but people would always have different things because we are human beings. We have different ways that you. And if you know that a particular company or if a particular role, they have a specific thing that they want you to do, and you have inside information about it, please go ahead and do whatever specific thing you say. I don't know if Shado has anything to add to what Victor has said.
No, nothing for me.
Okay, thank you. Joy, I hope that answers your question.
Yes. Although I have one more.
Go ahead.
I have one more. Okay, so if you want to transition from one industry to another industry, how do you do it? And the industry, I don't know, is it that, I don't know, how do you do it? Like you want to transition from tech to oil and gas, I don't know, or like a lesser company that is not looking like oil and gas. Okay, for example, you want to transition from NGO to oil and gas. So how do you do it when the um, direction, the description is saying you have to have worked in technology or in multinationals like theirs, and the person is in NGO or a lesser company, but the person wants more experience, wants a job that helps the person grow. So how do you transition? Do you just let it slide because they will not even look through your CV, or you just give it a try? I don't know. Thank you. So that's all.
Okay. First off, I think that we've answered that question at the beginning, right? I would try and say something and contextualize what you said, but we spoke extensively on that at the beginning, and also in the finance to law edition, because that was very focused on transitioning from from law to finance, from a transitioning from a legal background into finance. So we had that like as an extensive conversation. So I think that that would help you and give you more perspective into this. But I think that if you're trying to transition from a lower industry into something that maybe demands more or some type of technical expertise, I think that you should start with low hanging fruits, and not necessarily not look for the like top, or maybe because you've had 5 years of experience in this particular role, and so you're trying to also now move to the new industry and you want to still remain on that same role. I think it's okay to apply for like low hanging fruit, like things that don't demand as much experience that you maybe already have in your current industry, right? And then also what Victor said in the beginning, locking. Do you have evidence of knowledge, interest, theoretical knowledge? There are people that studied that particular course that you're trying to transition into. What can you show that you can match up to them? Can you show, what have you taken courses? Have you written? Like, are you sharing your thoughts? Are you showing that you have interest? Like, if I pick up your CV, yes, you want to transition to oil and gas. What can I see in your CV that shows that you are trying to transition into oil and gas? What's your proof of interest? Yeah, if I keep talking, I'll just keep repeating everything that Victor has said. But I don't know if Victor, you have anything to say about that.
Yeah. Like okay, no, before that, I think it's easier to change industry than it is to break into a new sector entirely. So it's not like you're trying to change your career, right? It's not like you're trying to move from finance into risk, or you're trying to move from risk into customer service. You're just trying to change the industry where you're in, and your specialization is still the same thing. So I think that's easier, right? And like I said earlier, one important point I made was that all the things they list on the job requirements is not what they are not looking for 100%, right? So that you don't have some doesn't mean you should not go ahead and apply. So the fact that they said, in fact, in some instances, they will say experience in blah, blah, blah is an added advantage, right? Not like it disqualifies you. I have interviewed with oil and gas before, and I was the one that didn't want their job, right? And I didn't even have fintech experience then, right? So it's very much possible. Yeah. So I don't want to repeat the point again, but yeah, it is possible. Look out for low hanging fruits and locking.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other question before we go? Just before we go, where can they find you, Victor? Where can they find you? If anybody wants to connect with you.
Oh, I'm on LinkedIn. I am on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yeah, try to reply as much as possible to all LinkedIn videos I get. Yeah, so yeah, you see me on LinkedIn, Victor Ademo.
All right, thank you. And Shado, if anybody wants to connect with you, where can they find you?
Yeah, I'm equally active on LinkedIn. You could just shoot me a connection request, send a message.
All right then.
Oh yeah, there's Twitter too. Sorry, I forgot. There's Twitter too. You can connect. I think maybe I'm trying to like be more active there. The Victor Ademo. Yeah, the just add THH in front of my name. You find me there.
All right then. Thank you, Bolu. Thank you for the link. So that's the link for Victor.
Oh yeah, Arista Bolu.
That's the link to Victor's profile, and I think it would also drop the one to Shado, so you can just click on the link. Yeah, I asked for the link especially for Victor because apparently you have plenty Victor DMOs.
Oh yeah, just look for the fine one.
On I didn't say that.
Please ignore me.
But yeah, that brings us to the end of this session. Thank you so much. Thank you, Victor. Thank you, Shado. I really enjoyed having this conversation with you. This was very insightful. I hope to everyone, not I hope, I know this has been very insightful, and I hope that you put it into practice everything that you have learned. And let me emphasize on that. Let me tell you how many people registered for this session. About 66, if I'm not mistaken. And how many were we on the call with? Like between 25 and maybe 28, thereabouts. It just shows you that so many people want something, or they think that they want something, but when it's time to like actually stay committed to it, then it's crickets. Don't be that person that on the outside, you're all, oh, I want this. You see people getting nice jobs or like getting into companies that you want to work for, and you're like, oh, how did they get it? How did they get it? Maybe they know somebody there. Oh, they were just lucky. No, they were not lucky. They just did what you were too lazy to do, right? Don't be that person that's just fantasizes about what type of job they want to do and not actually put in the work. Put in the work. Victor mentioned something about compound effect. These things pile up. If you don't get it now, you will get it the next time. The next time, if you stop, you need just 1 yes, and you won't get that yes if you stop just because you sent out 10 applications. Victor said 100 applications. Me too. I've made it. I don't even want to go into how many applications that I've done. And I was speaking to somebody and I was like telling her about, oh, you need to tailor your CV. And she was like, so I have to do CVs every time I want to apply for, like, the fact that you have to keep editing your CV every time. I said, yes, that's what do you think? Do you just want to be sending out one CV to different, like, to different jobs? You can't do that. It takes work, a lot of work for you. And you have to keep going. You don't stop at just 10, at just 20. It's a numbers game, right? And sometimes you're not really doing anything wrong. You just keep going, and like eventually it would respond. You get positive feedback. And the thing, even with interviews too, your first interview may be rusty, right? But the second one that you do, you are better at it because you know maybe what to expect, how to respond. Your third one is better than the second one. The more you keep doing it, the better you become at it. So yeah, I hope this has been helpful, and I can't wait to see results from this webinar in your career. And yeah, that's it. We've come to the end of this session. Thank you so much, guys. Please feel free to share feedback with me, maybe on our WhatsApp group or on LinkedIn. Tag me, tag Victor, tag Shado to it. And yeah, I look forward to hearing your feedback. I can see somebody's hand up. Mercy, was that a mistake or? Okay, maybe that was a mistake. All right then. So class dismissed. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for having me. It was nice meeting you, Shadow. Thank you for the wonderful, wonderful insights as well. Bye, everyone.
All right, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.